How to price your home like an expert. Attorney broker John McConnin here, favoriterealestate.com, experthomeprices.com. Today we're going to show what we do when pricing the home and show how you can use similar tools that are available at favoriterealestate.com under expert home prices. We're going to start here. This is what I like to do. First of all, I picked the most expensive home in Poway just because I thought it would be fun to take a look at it. First, though, for most homes, we would take a look at the entire 92064 range. I first like to click on price per square foot, see what's going on. This is a 3-year look, but we can go back 10 years to see how it's doing. And we can see Poway's coming back to where it almost was back in 2006. Well, that's 10 years. Let's go max. Let's see how close we are off the high. So prices did get a little higher a while ago. And we find this throughout a lot of a lot of San Diego neighborhoods, although parts of Carlsbad are reaching all-time highs last time I checked. Now, let's go, and now one of the numbers I like to know is whether we're in a buyer's or seller's market. Is I like to look at the month. Well, here it is. It's basically market absorption. We look at how many homes are for sale versus how many homes are being purchased every month. We break it out, and right now you can see there's a 2.4 month supply, and that is, if that's the new normal. You can see it's been bouncing around there for a while. Way back in 2004, it used to be even lower, and this is when people were holding properties because they expected them to appreciate because they were appreciating. And it was hard to find good homes on the market. It was frequently homes that were on busy roads or didn't have good views, things that the good homes are hard to find. So that's not really the case now. We can see there's a lot of new homes coming on the market, a lot of new listings, but there's also a lot of buyers coming out. So there is a selection and there's a strong competition for homes that are priced well or are very desirable. And then we can drill down into the data. We can limit ourselves to certain price homes and things like that. But you got to feel for that. So now let's go back to two things: total market overview, CMA, traditional CMA. And a total market overview. First of all, let me pull up some software I really like. It's called RPR. And if I click on this property, I can refine the property to local market conditions. I would say local market conditions for luxury homes are good, but it's not the same as homes that are, say, $500,000 or $600,000, or even $700,000 or $800,000. And then I assume the home's in good shape, and the interior is good shape. But these are things I would discern either from talking to the clients, or from doing more research, or knowing the neighborhood. And then we would go to the comps analysis, and I would do this. I would explain that there's two types of analysis that we're going to do here. There's going to be a total market analysis where I try to pull in all the data for the last year, and I try to discern trends. For instance, in a subdivision in Carlsbad, homes that were under 2,800 square feet and over 3,500 square feet were selling for over $300 a square foot, whereas homes that were 3,000 square feet were selling for $20 a square foot less, and have been going on. It was like 6 sales in a row going back over 6 months. And I knew the neighborhood well because I once lived in a 3,800 square foot home in the neighborhood I was renting. And I really liked the 3,000 square foot floor plans. They were more open. And, I figure one or two could have view problems, but I knew that I was very confident that there must have been an odd anomaly there. But if you had just done the total market overview, you would have been aware of it anyway. But what was happening is current realtors and the algos on the net were just perpetuating that pricing discrepancy. People were doing what they're trained to do as realtors: look for recent sales, recent comps, approximately the same size homes, and saying, oh, well, the price per square foot on this property pencils out at $880,000 to $890,000, and that's where we should list. And the sellers spoke with me because I used to live in the neighborhood and I knew them. They gave me a call and they said, we're not so sure. And I said, I took a look and I go, I agree with you. There's two things going on here. One, why not price at the other price in the neighborhood, price per square foot? So that would put your house over 900. And the other thing is, if we're wrong, we'll know because we're not getting showings, but it's no big deal in today's market. When prices in Southern California are appropriate, they get showings even if they were high a month ago because there's not a lot of listings. Buyers do a lot of research. There's a lot of information on the net, and people aren't that afraid of stale properties anymore. I mean, if it went out 6 months or a year, that's another story. But if you adjust within the first month or two, I don't see the stress. Now, could there be exceptions to the rule? Yeah. Will we discuss them if I think you might fall into that? Yes. But should you be afraid to go for a high price when there's only 2.5 months supply of homes and your homes show well and it's the beginning of the season? I say absolutely not. I mean, I just gave you some qualifiers. There's the end of the season. Maybe I want to get it sold. If you had to move, maybe you wouldn't take a shot and go for the top of the market or the top of the range. But if you can, I'd say do it and just match your marketing to, talk about it in your marketing. Explain it to the realtors when they call or the buyer's agents when they call. I mean, there's a ways to market around it. Now, the good news was they got multiple offers in the first 2 weeks. It took about 2 weeks. They got multiple offers. And we talked to the agents and they were like, well, we would go higher, but we're concerned that it's not going to appraise. And I was like, I just recently had my own house appraised. I know appraisers want to match up the sale if they can. So they're going to see these other comps. They're going to know the price per square foot in the neighborhood. It's going to have no problem appraising. It's just a question of whether your buyer wants to buy this property. If they do, then they might want to pay a little more. And they did, and we closed, and my clients made $30,000 more than they would have with other agents' suggested list price. Now that's because of a total market overview. You see all the sales. You figure out what's going on in the price per square foot. Let me just show you. If I took these modifiers off, and we just went with price per square foot. Let's go, I don't know, $300 a square foot and up. Let's see what we pull up here. We're going to see a bunch of homes for a luxury home this price. That would be a few sales. Now, we would then, just quickly, what I can do is I can look at the price per square foot's going on, price per square feet in the neighborhood, and get a feel. We see that the homes that have sold were in the under 350, where the homes being listed are higher. 500 we see for 453, 539, 770. So in the luxury market here, we see, I'm not giving this advice now because I would do more work over the net and I'd really see the home on a luxury home. And I'd see how it compares with La Jolla and Del Mar. And because we know the luxury homes in Madeira sell to athletes, and I'm going to make, let's just say the true hyper luxury homes are an exception to what I'm talking about. But if we're talking about a total market overview from a home with a reasonable amount of comps, at first we just put them all in here, all into the software, so I can send them to my clients, and this would probably turn out to be a 30-page report with each home being analyzed, and they get to see them all. And then I say, well, why don't you take a look at them? Because I'm going to take a look at them, and then we can go over it. That's for people that are concerned about pricing right now, wanting to understand a total market overview. Now, if I were going to do a CMA, that's where a realtor's discretion and subjectivity, and a good realtor, you want an experienced realtor in pricing homes, will actually tailor this property for you. Let's say we found those two, let's say we were going with old coach, because we liked where old coach is relative to where the subject home is, which is on Cypress, and we have one there. So we might go with these three and not the fourth, or maybe we go with the first two and not this. So those are our sold comps. We like to get 3 or 4 sold comps. Luxury homes, that doesn't always happen. Then we come down, we look at the ones for sale. We go, well, that's only 0.81 miles away. Probably everyone looking in the neighborhood knows that it's for sale. So we better bring them in, even if they're not exactly comps. We want to bring them into the analysis. So the clients can see it, we can see it, we can discuss where we fit in with the competition, and we come up with the prices. So in short, what we do in the beginning is we get an overall feel for the market. Then we do a total market overview where we look at all the properties and we try to see what's going on with the price per square feet on those properties, on the sales and on the listings. And then we do what a traditional realtor does, a traditional CMA, where we use some discretion, bringing in the comps and saying, this is the fair market value of the home. Now, where I may differ from most is I'm going to say, look, we've got the sold comps, we've got the fair market value of the current listings. We're figuring out where your home might fit in that range right now, and we're going to come up with a range. And then we're going to say, okay, we've got this one that's sort of setting a limit on there. We might want to let it sell before you try to sell your property, or if you want to be priced more than that property, we can do some marketing around it. But let's figure out where we are in a range. Let's make a range, and then let's figure out what we're going to use to market. Are we going to market to realtors and incentivize them to bring their best buyers to the property right now and not really make lowball offers, because we're going to make sure they're getting paid. Are we going to local, if frequently one of the best ways to find the strongest buyers in the pool is to market to the local neighbors. Some people don't want their neighbors to know their home's for sale, but if you're willing to do that, letting the neighbors know it's for sale, setting up an open house for the neighbors to bring them in, talk to their friends in the neighborhood or relatives, that's a good way to get people that might be willing to pay more than the fair market value of the home. So if we're trying to go to the top of the fair market value or over it, if we're trying to go over, we're going to stage the home. We're going to make sure it looks good. We're going to do our best marketing. And this is what I'm going to tell you, especially in this market where you're trying to solicit multiple offers and get a lot of people involved in the process, maybe creating a sense of scarcity by having a pre-MLS weekend, you're going to need a good representative, either yourself, really, or a really strong realtor. Average realtors are afraid of multiple offer situations. I've gotten many calls in as a lawyer. They want to do one at a time because they don't want to confuse the situation. They don't want to fall in malpractice traps, get sued. They don't want to have two offers out there with the wrong wording on it so that two people think they're buying the home, which would be a disaster. And they're not lawyers, so they're not comfortable altering the terms in emails or in contracts. And basically, they get nervous in multiple offer situations and frequently drive buyers away. I get calls saying, we have multiple offers and we don't have a closed sale. We don't know what happened. And yeah, sellers, they're like, I just want the most possible. But realtors have to interpret that command to say, I want to bring these people up, make them comfortable so that they feel like making another offer. You don't normally just want to say, just give me your highest and best right away. You want to give the realtor some information so he can get his clients comfortable about making another offer. You want to tell them, sure, it's still going to appraise if it does. And you want to have that information available to make it more comfortable for buyers. Buyers get very nervous when they get jacked up. You got to keep them in the transaction. You got to make them feel confident if you're trying to get top dollar, if you're trying to go over the range. If the buyers know they're getting a deal, that's a totally different ballpark than if you're trying to go top of the range, top dollar. So anyway, that's part of the expert home pricing mix. In short, if you're not selling your home right now, you're just trying to figure out the price. You want to get a total overall feel with the data from an InfoSparks or market trend product. Sorry, I'm getting thirsty. And then you want to do a total market overview and a CMA. Now, if you want to work with me, I can do all this quickly, and I love staying on top of the market. I don't even consider it work because I have to do it anyway, so I know what I'm talking about. So give me a call or fill out a form on the website. There's lots of opportunity on my website at favoriterealestate.com to get an expert home analysis. I'm happy to do it. And then, I'm going to send you a text or maybe a call, but I like to send a text. Hey, do you have a minute to talk so I can find out a little bit about your home, why you liked it, what its amenities are, how it might differ from these comps? And then I can also say, are you looking for a total market overview? Are you looking for a CMA type deal? And are you comfortable with limited data, or do you want to see the whole thing? And when I find out from the homeowners, I can then tailor these reports to really meet their needs. I mean, I just love some of these products. Similar ones on the web, but these are great products. So John McConnin, favorite, realestate.com, expert home prices. Thank you.